hours. Is it monthly or weekly?
It's a lot of Sundays.
It's a lot of Sundays. After the evening walk. So thanks so much for coming. I know that she's got a lot of regulars. Knox Heritage is a historic preservation advocacy based here in Knoxville. So if you're a member, we really appreciate you. And if you're not a member, come to one of our events, another event, and join us and learn more about us on the website. We're celebrating our 50th year. If you guys know Pachakacha, do you guys know what Pachakacha is?
Yes.
We're having a historic preservation themed Pachakacha later in May.
What if you don't know what that is?
It's a thing they have at Mill and Mine, and it's you have to tell stories. It's a Japanese thing, and you have to tell stories. It's a 20 minutes,
20
slides, 1 minute or 30 seconds per slide, and you have to talk about something.
I think it's 20 slides, 20 seconds. I think. I'm
So
not really
you
sure.
have like less than
basically,
they change the slides, and it's real fun because they do everything from architecture to history to just dog fosters, everything.
Yeah, but this coming May is going to be like all historic preservation themed.
Cool.
So
Can we come to that free?
it's free. It's all free.
Good to know.
So yeah, so if you have most of you all are on our e-newsletter, so join our e-newsletter. You'll get all the kind of different information that we have and different events that are going on. So Jennifer, she's the main, I don't know,
Squeeze comes to mind.
so give it off to her.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
just some housekeeping. We're gonna walk, but it's fairly flat how we go, and we're just gonna go to the other side of the church, come back around, possibly trespassing, I don't know, and go, and then we're gonna go back here on the corner and then walk right back here.
And we usually get in traffic and stop traffic.
Yeah, and so we won't do that today. There's some regulars here, and I don't see Ronnie. Ronnie Collins is one of my regulars, but I bring him up because he and I have a running joke that I always find somewhere I used to live, talk about horses, and talk about real estate agents. I'm a real estate agent, by the way, so that's how it comes up. So I can almost get us there tonight in honor of Ronnie. So the first thing, I have a series of images, and the first one is, raise your hand if you have a library card. Okay, raise your hand if you don't have a library card. You have to get one. And the reason I say this is because there's so many good resources if you love history, and that's where I got this tonight.
Ronnie's coming.
Oh, awesome. So that's where I got this image tonight. This is from Sanborn Fire Insurance Maps, and these are old. I'm gonna let you all pass it around. These are old insurance maps that are in lots of cities, and Knoxville had its own set. There are several original sets floating around, and these are copies that I got them because I have a library card. They're available online. You can stay up until like 4 o'clock in the morning looking at them if you want to. They're pretty awesome. This one, when you see it, just try to get yourself oriented. Look in the upper right-hand corner for the schools, and you'll kind of figure out where you're at. And I have a few other ones. So I'll get started. Smithwood, which is this little community that we're by at the intersection of Jacksboro and Tazewell Pikes, began in the middle of the 19th century with the arrival of the Smith family. That's a big surprise. And John Smith soon built a brick home in the area. How many of you all came in on Jacksboro Pike? Okay, well, how many of you are familiar with the shopping center that you would have gone by if you, okay, so that's where John Smith's house was, and this is a picture of it. It was demolished in the 60s, so without giving away anybody's age, some of you might remember the building, right? And I would love for you to speak up. So I'll start passing that around. There's a QR code on all of these. There's a QR code on all these images, and you can activate it. It's pretty cool because it sends you back to the McClung Historical Collection. Also, there's another plug for the Knox County Library System. And if you'll pull up the link, you can expand it, and you can look in all the corners of the photograph. And I find all sorts of fun surprises again at 4 o'clock in the morning. So we'll start walking. So did anybody come in off a dare drive? No? Okay. Well, if you had, this would be a significant landmark for our presentation today. John Smith, who I just mentioned, was the grandson-in-law of John Adair. And John Adair was a late 18th century settler that was responsible for Fort Adair, which was built to supply and equip the military against Native Americans and escort travelers heading west. So Fort Adair was near the intersection of Adair and Broadway. So just be aware that, you know, this community is connected over there on Broadway. It's really kind of in between two important and three really important, what we call radial center streets. Okay, so
was John Smith's house on a farm, or was it just out here by itself, or what?
it was a farm, and if you go to that website, you can see there are more than just that image of John Adair, and there's a picture of his barn. I mean, does anybody here, when you see the picture, speak up if you remember it? The only thing I remember is I had a birthday party at a pizza place at that shopping center, right? So anyway, we'll head this way.
Christine grew up on Adair Drive.
Oh, she did?
Her building her house got demolished.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, it's really sad.
Okay, let's head this way. We're gonna walk. I'll lead it. She's following you. I know. She knows where you're going. That was Miss Wadsworth. Come on, Dory. I don't remember ever coming over. Like a lot of names. Where do we park? Over in the parking lot over there. You may be able to park right here. No. I'm like, what are these people doing?
Is this copyrighted?
I was hoping that would happen.
Not necessarily. Unless she's copywritten it. She got it all from the library, so I doubt it.
Come on up here and.
Well, you would have known, they would know ahead.
Actually, I'll leave this
Oh,
one.
no. I was just thinking, why in the world did I not bring sunglasses?
I think everybody's almost here. Okay, so John Smith, who we were just discussing, he donated land for Smithwood Baptist Church and Cemetery. And a late 19th century outbreak of yellow fever significantly added to the number of graves in the cemetery. It is sad. So I mentioned that, Smithwood, I mentioned a couple things. One, that Smithwood was a little community centered on Jacksboro and Tazewell Pike. And also I mentioned the term radial center streets. And, we talked about Jacksboro and Tazewell Pike. We're going to talk more about Broadway because Smithwood is developed alongside Fountain City. How many of y'all have been to Fountain City Park? Right? And there's a little downtown there, right? So that's another kind of community that's based on these radial streets. And during the late 19th century, Fountain City developed as a hotel and resort. By the end of the 19th century, the area was a popular park. A steam railway known as the Dummy Line, and established during the late 19th century, spurred development around there. That line was converted to an electric streetcar in the early 20th century, and that line followed Walker Boulevard. How many are familiar with Walker Boulevard? Yeah, and so when you're coming down Broadway, if you veer off, you can see that there's an interesting, if you find it interesting, there's a curve to Walker Avenue. That's because the streetcar line followed it, right? It's hard for a streetcar line to make a right turn or to make a sharp turn. So, and of course it came from Knoxville, and the Whittle Springs Hotel, that's another local lore topic, and it's not there anymore. The stairs are still there, by the way, on the corner, and we walked around there last season in local lore, right? So that was along the route. So the streetcar, this is kind of what I want y'all to think about. The streetcars in Fountain City spurred a lot of residential development, but there was no streetcar along Jacksboro Pike, so this remained rural a lot longer than Fountain City, right? So, all right, let's head this way. So this particular church, there's probably, that's a good question. I looked in the newspaper and there's lots of mentions of the church around the turn of the century, but there could have been a smaller building. I think that's later. I think that's probably like 40s or 50s.
Yeah, it caught on fire. It was redone. That was probably in the late 60s.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's several sections of this, so it could be like other churches, there could be an older part and a newer part. Yeah. All right, let's head this way.